I'm sure I would be living in Palestine if it wasn't for the occupation. My parents, both sides, were forcefully expelled from Palestine. Both my mom and my dad, and their families. Both my parents grew up in Jordan and then later immigrated to the U.S. I, it's a special kind of feeling I get when I go to Palestine. I can't even really describe it. It's just a peaceful feeling. I love being there, thinking that my great grandparents grew up there and were born and raised there. So it's for sure. I think we would have stayed there. At least my parents would have stayed there. My great grandparents and my parents would have stayed there if it wasn't for the occupation. Tampa is very diverse, especially the Temple Terrace area. USF is one of the most diverse universities in the nation, and to me, that's amazing. I love diversity, and I think the more diverse we are, the stronger we are.
I think the Palestinian resistance on campus is very active. We have a great club, the Students for Justice in Palestine, that is very vocal about how they feel about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the events that they host, like the Killing of Gaza movie screening, where they showed firsthand what's going on in Palestine, and also things like the protests at the Marshall Student Center for the divestment of Israeli companies that USF funds for. I think that on campus it's very involved and it makes a great learning experience for all that come by.
So basically the PCRF, what we do, our main goal is raising awareness and funds for the Palestinian and other Middle Eastern children to get health care that they don't have. One of the main things in Palestine that the people are deprived of is health care, especially children. They do not receive decent health care at all. Well, a young gentleman who lived in Chicago, Hakeem Abunada, he was the one that founded the Tampa Bay chapter.
My name is Hakeem Abunada, and I am an activist, a philanthropist, and human rights advocate for Palestine. I think Tampa is a vibrant community that's filled with active leaders and go-getters, a lot of doers. I've lived in other places and there are a lot of talkers and you don't see as much action. The thing that I love and appreciate the most about the Tampa Bay community is that people are trying to contribute.
I think the Palestinian community has strengthened over the years in Tampa. I think that as the years go on, more people decide to flock to Tampa, as Tampa has become like a hub or a mecca for Palestinians and all Arabs in the Central Florida area.
Our parents immigrated, at least my parents, because of language barriers. They weren't going to school, they didn't finish their college education. So business was all they could do. So a lot of the Palestinians, there were a lot of great Palestinian-owned businesses in the Tampa Bay area. And I think that's something to be proud of because a lot of people made something out of nothing. So it just shows you how resilient we are.
The diaspora is comprised of about 11 to 15 million people worldwide, right? Depending on the reports that you review. And the one thing that all of us have in common is the desire and the aspiration for a free Palestine. And it's something that's never going away. the more families that I connect with, the more community work that I do, the more exposure that I have inside of these communities, the more I realize that it's never going to change. And it's definitely getting stronger. It's cultural, it's academic, it's rooted in policy, in politics. The one thing that I believe is going to continue happening is people coming together, unifying our voices, and rising again to the occasion. There's a sense of feeling like you don't belong, right? And even when I went overseas, there was a sense of, hey, you're not Arab enough, or you're not Palestinian enough, right? And in America, you're not American enough. You're not, you're foreign, right? Even if you're Gen 1, your parents are other than, right? You're lesser than. There are these, these constructs that exist that are socially engineered. And sometimes we socially engineer them ourselves, right? Sometimes we tend to give them more credence and power than they deserve. We will return and throw every element of your strengths and interests into whatever it is that you think you're destined to do and apply it to Palestine. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. You could be a corporate citizen and still be a Palestinian activist. And if you lose your job because of it, then you weren't meant to be in that position and something better will come. Compromising your views and your values and your principles over money, it's a very shallow and lonely life. And you're gonna feel like you didn't ever fulfill your true potential, and you wanna optimize your life. So maintain a growth mindset, maintain a positive mindset, tune out the noise, stay true to yourself, help others, treat people the way that you want to be treated. And never surrender, never give up.
I would just like to say that the Palestinian struggle is real, and it's nothing like what is portrayed in the media. And I would love it if everybody, non-Palestinian and Palestinian, would always do their research and think for themselves and not let the media think for them. And ask a Palestinian, someone that's lived there, someone that's of Palestinian descent, and get the real story behind it. And I think one day Palestine will be free.